Alright, so the phenomenon continues. Right after Joe Biden was elected, we started to cover the phenomenon of Biden voter regret. Many polls indicating that many people regretted voting for Joe Biden. Of course, many Democrats and independents, and of course the infamous poll at the center of all of it. Had people have known about the Hunter Biden laptop story and Joe Biden's connection to his son's shady business dealings, had they been informed and had the story not been suppressed across social media and the mainstream media, again, a good chunk of them would have changed their vote. That's a huge part of the whole Biden voter regret phenomenon. Well, if you think that phenomenon ever slowed down, the simple answer is it didn't, it hasn't, it continues. In fact, it's getting even bigger as Joe Biden continues to shed support, specifically among young Democrats and especially among independents. You know, like I've been saying, I think people have been waiting for Joe Biden's little comeback moment. However, reality seems to be setting in that there will be no comeback. There is no comeback. Instead, we got this. Let me show you guys what I mean by that. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so I've been trying to pay attention as much as possible, looking all over the place, and I just keep seeing the same thing over and over again. A good chunk of Biden voters are done with this clown. Here's one moment from a recent segment on C-SPAN.
That's Jordan in Florida. This is Jeannie, Austin, Texas. Go ahead.
Hi. I voted for Joe Biden. Will not be voting for him again. I'm a registered Democrat. I'm politically homeless right now. I do not want Jeffries to get it because I feel like anything the Democrats touch has just turned sour. This is crazy. We're not happy here, the Democrats in Texas, Austin, Texas. I'm a Mexican.
Voter sentiment is the most important thing. And while it's a simple clip, in the world of politics, a simple view tends to be the right one. The obvious, simple answer or general perception. People are not happy. That's coming from Democrats. She's saying Democrats in Texas are not happy. What have we been covering over the last however many years? We know that that's the case. We know that voters are looking for answers, looking for solutions to their problems. The basic standard of living is on a clear decline. And what does Joe keep doing? He keeps patting himself on the back. He keeps pushing these ridiculous ads and ridiculous little propaganda social media posts, taking credit for all the successes of his administration. And the voters, and this includes his voters, his staunch, loyal, registered Democrat voters, are sitting there with a very clear disconnect as to how they're feeling as to their experiences and what Sleepy Joe is presenting in whatever alternate dementia state reality he lives in. No matter the propaganda campaign, reality is just too evident right now. If things were going a little bit better, then yeah, certain people could be convinced. But the juxtaposition, the contrast between reality and whatever, crackhead worldview the Democrats are pushing or peddling, it's too great. And no amount of copium will change the facts. Here's one element of copium. Democrats keep telling us that Gen Z's gonna get them past the finish line.
As you're traversing the country, you're meeting with all these different individuals about the power of them and their vote. And something that's a fun fact that people may not know, that in 2020, young people participated in record number. Record number. And instead of getting us excited and knowing that we're expecting 12 million more Gen Zers to join the ranks of eligible voters this election. Instead of every single elected official applauding that effort and recognizing the strength of our democracies by our participation, instead, we find these individuals trying to infringe on our rights. Instead of applauding, they're saying, no, let's infringe on our rights so you can't participate. And I think it's because they're scared of the power of young folks.
Young voters will get them there, huh? Not so sure about that one. 12 million more Gen Zers are expected to come out and vote for Democrats. It's Jover. Honnold Glorf is done. Except, no, not really. Especially considering these little socialist radicals, known as Gen Z Democrats, are kind of having issues with Joe Biden right now. What's the issue of contention, you may ask? Well, obviously, Israel and Hamas.
Y'all know how I feel about Joe Biden. I voted for Joe Biden because I thought he was safer than Trump. I still do. I have zero regrets about voting for him, but my concern is with this upcoming presidential election. I would say, even like a month ago, I was very certain in my belief that Joe Biden, no matter what, would be able to beat Donald Trump. And at this point, I gotta be honest, I'm not too sure about that anymore. And the thing that has really changed my view on this whole thing is Joe Biden's unwavering support for Israel.
You know, these young little radicals who seem so incredibly sympathetic towards terrorist groups and terrorist actions targeting innocent civilians, yeah, they're not so down with Joe Biden's pro-Israel cause. It's yet again another collapse of support. Joe Biden promised them student loan forgiveness. Yeah, we know how that one turned out. Joe Biden was supposed to protect reproductive rights and do something after the ending of Roe v. Wade. He's done absolutely nothing except, campaign on nonsense fear-mongering, not exactly convincing. And now on foreign policy, young voter support for Joe Biden is dropping precipitously. Not to mention, Gen Z is getting more and more conservative, at least Gen Z males. The White House is in a little bit of a weird position with young voters, as younger and more activist progressive Democrats seem less inclined to give Mr. Biden the benefit of the doubt. Quinnipiac found that a majority of 18 to 34-year-old voters were opposed to sending weapons and military equipment to Israel. Joe Biden's trying to do a package deal here, sending money to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan in one big package military aid deal. Young voters bought into the whole Slava Ukraini nonsense. But now with Israel joining the mix, these little Hamas supporters are starting to jump ship. And actually, just to build up on the point that I was making earlier, look at some of these data sets. I mean, the numbers are truly shocking. Here's a tweet by Guy Benson. The data he's presenting is from the most recent Harvard-Harris poll. I just keep staring at these numbers. A slim majority of 18 to 24-year-old Americans say Hamas's slaughtering of civilians can be justified by the grievances of Palestinians. Then 62% of the exact same group agree with the massacre was, quote, genocidal. I mean, absolutely insane stuff, but it continues to make the point that there is a huge disconnect. There's a disconnect between what Joe Biden and the Democrats are offering and what these far-left little radical communist soldiers are demanding. So at this point, most of what I'm hearing from Democrats is absolute copium. Young voters are going to save us. Young voters want nothing to do with piss-pants Joe Biden. The next thing we always hear is that independents are going to save Sleepy Creepy Joe. Again, I kind of doubt that, considering Joe Biden's average approval rating across all the most recent polls when it comes to independent voters is dismal. In fact, he's underwater by nearly 40 points. CNN has him at 30% approve, 70% disapprove. Fox News has him at 23% approve and 77% disapprove. NPR at 32.62, Quinnipiac at 31.60, CBS at 34.66, and Suffolk has him at 31-66. The average rating sitting at 30% approval, 67% disapproval. Again, a negative 37 underwater net spread. Young voters are done with this guy. Many Democrats are done with him. Independents are beyond done with Creepy Joe, and Republicans, well, they were never with him to begin with. So the question is, what's left? The only little group that's left are the Blue Anon, Vote Blue no matter who, Rachel Maddow viewers. Frankly, another extreme wing, but they're the only people left, and I'd argue that's probably not a great position to be in, heading into a highly competitive election against a surging political martyr, Trump, who's leading across the polling data. That's today's election analysis. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.